As the whole conference is about the European Health Data Space, I changed the title a little bit, and this talk will be about how medicinal products will be represented in the European health data space. Health data are important, we all know that, but within health data, medicinal products are also important. I delivered a speech also on behalf of Deepak Kalra, the president of IHD, and together we are the work package lead of work package 8. IDMP, Identification of Medicinal Products, is all about this question. What if we would be able to identify any medicinal product from anywhere in the world, anywhere in the world? That is a hell of an ambition, and it's the ambition of the 5 ISO SEN standards for the identification of medicinal products that were already sanctified 10 years ago, but still await implementation. The ISO standards for identification of medicinal products, and the acronym is IDMP, is a set of 5 ISO IDMP standards that establish definitions and concepts, common vocabularies, and describes data elements and their structural relationships that are required for the unique identification of medicines, and developed to ensure worldwide interoperability across regulatory and healthcare communities. That's a mouthful, and it's a very big ambition. And each of these standards, one for substances, one for pharmaceutical dose forms, unit of presentation, routes of administration and packaging, one for units of measurement, the pharmaceutical product, which is the global number of the medicine for any medicinal product from anywhere in the world, and then the standard for defining the medicinal product. These standards are needed to correctly identify 3 key elements of medicinal products. The substance, together with the dose form, determines the normalization of strength expression of medicinal products. For IDMP, the substance must be defined very concretely as very precise substance with the role of precise active ingredient. The dose form has been defined as the administrable dose form, the dose form in which the drug is administered to the patient. And together, these 2 elements will determine what the value is of strength, the normalized strength, and the value and the unit of normalized strength in the nominator and the denominator. These 3 elements, substance, dose form, and strength, also together determine, in fact, the effect of the medication, but they also needed to identify the medicine. How can we ensure interoperability in the way medicinal products are presented internationally? We will have, for 3 core identifying concepts of medicinal products, substance, dose form, and strength, we will need standardized terminologies and business rules to govern also the relationship between these concepts. And these must be implemented by national agencies for marketing authorization in the US, in Europe, and globally. And only then there can be a seamless flow of regulatory information into medicinal product dictionaries used in clinical systems all over the world. IDMP is a very complex standard. These 5 standards together contain more or less than 250 different attributes arranged in complex architecture, sometimes even for an IT specialist to lose its way in this information model. But from these attributes, we need to create identifiers, unique product identifiers. The medicinal product identifier from one country normally has a national identifier, but what we want here is an international identifier of a national product. The substances are common of all medicines all over the world, but we also need to agree to identify these substances with a global identifier. The medicinal product packages need to be identified, the batches, and on top of it, you have the pharmaceutical product ID, which is in fact an abstract representation of national products in different countries. If these national products from different countries are exactly the same, they will share the same pharmaceutical product ID, and this will be helping to identify identical products in one nation versus another nation. It's a big challenge for Europe because we are talking here about legacy conversion of 500,000 medicinal products in Europe. That's an enormous number, but if you think that these medicinal products are authorized country by country in 27 member states, that each of these countries have 8,000 to 12,000 medicinal products authorized on the market, and that each have up to 5 medicinal product dictionaries besides the regulatory database. Databases with regulatory information systems, e-health information, reimbursement information, general drug information center for patients and physicians, and last but not least, the drug databases that vendors of pharmacy and medical information systems use. So to align all this and to make sure that the European market is not completely fragmented by all this, we will need this international standardization in Europe very badly. And this is a schema that tries to show and make this a little bit more clear. On the right, you have country A and you have country B. Each country has a number of databases, one in the agency, one in the drug information center, in the e-health system, and in the EHR systems or the pharmacy systems. And the same is true in country B. And they all share information in country A about the same 10,000 products that are authorized in that country. The identical products share the same pharmaceutical product ID. And we can build a database of pharmaceutical product IDs that represent the exact representation of identical medicinal products in all these databases. This then again can be linked and be aggregated more to what we call virtual medicinal product groups, where some of the details in pharmaceutical products are reduced and aggregated. But we can then make a link to the different international classifications, the ATC classifications in the first place, but also Eric's norm in the US, and SNOMED and other forms of drug ontology. And by this way, we can assure semantic interoperability between medicinal product identification and international drug classifications. And that can be very important for developers of decision support rules, for instance, who have to express their rules in very abstract international drug classifications, and then need to go to the burden to link to all these databases in all these different countries. And this system will help them to do that in a very automated and facilitating way. IDMP implementation is not just a dream of a standard organization, it is strongly supported worldwide. There are 3 consecutive European projects of 4 years, EPSOS, Open Medicine, and UNICOM. UNICOM now runs from 2020, in fact, started already in 2020, 2024. It is supported by the International Council of Harmonization, who brings together the continent of Asia, the Americas, and Europe in pharmaceutical affairs. There is a global IDMP working group called GITWIG, who brings together FDA, EMA, WHO, Uppsala Monitoring Center for Pharmacovigilance, and they are providing the business rules to make all this happen. And then there's UNICOM, which, as said by Catherine, a large EU Horizon Action Program, 20 million euros, 44 participating organizations, and among which of these organizations 11 national competent authorities for marketing authorization of medicinal products. And there is a website where you can learn and read all about this program. So to return to reality, what if a Greek patient shows up in a Belgian pharmacy and requests a prescription for this medicine? Some of you of older age who have still had Latin Greek formation can maybe read this, but younger healthcare providers will not be able to read it. But by identifying IDMP data on the box, namely that this global number that we are constructing will be printed on every box of the medicine, then just scanning it allows the pharmacist or the doctor to realize that this is a medicine. This medicine is about amlodipine, and more specifically, amlodipine in an oral formulation with a strength of 10 milligram. And even more specifically, that it is amlodipine with amlodipine basylate, so with a very specific modifier of the chemical substance, that it's not just an oral product, but a capsule hard, and again 10 milligram. And he can then look up in his own system that this is available in Belgium as Amlor, which is a brand, an originator brand, now marketed by UGent, originally by Pfizer, and this product is also available as a generic by a number of companies, but then it will not be capsule hard, but it will be tablets. So that is a little bit trying to show what the system will bring. So my last slide is the question, what is in it for the European health data space? Well, it will certainly assist traveling patients. And there are two kinds of traveling patients. There's a citizen who travel and during their travel get a sudden need of healthcare. And then there are patients who are actually traveling because of healthcare, because they want to go in another country to seek care. And these patients will be better served with interoperable drug data. Second aspect is more for research and science, assuring interoperability for medicinal products in big data collections. IDMP will provide a much more precise representation of medicinal products in the common data models that will foster powerful pharmacoepidemiological research and also pharmacovigilance. It will assure more rapid and more international surveillance of medicinal product consumption. And you know, for instance, with antibiotics, that it is very important to know how the different states are doing, for instance, with regard of reducing the consumption of antibiotics and hence reducing resistance. Facilitating global deployment of trustworthy drug information is another very important issue, and that is true also for information to the patient and the labeling. And there are several projects around the electronic product information that will be facilitated by IDMP. Trustworthy drug information and evidence-based guidelines who more and more become international, but these guidelines have to relate to the local drug databases, and that is where IDMP comes in. It will facilitate the work of independent drug informations, and last but not least, we have in Europe several magnificent expert centers in pharmacotherapy and decision support for helping prescribers to prescribe the right drugs to the right persons, in multidisciplinary medication management, support for deprescribing, and also electronic teaching of pharmacotherapy. This is very important in Europe, that these expert centers are developing all these systems in their own country, and they're developing it with their local drug database. But if they want to go international and have a much broader market to put their products in, the magnificent systems that they have developed, they are faced with the hurdle to connect to all these drug databases, and that IDMP will facilitate.